Does someone in here procrastinate? Well, if you think you procrastinate, it's because you haven't met me. I'm Mariana, the queen of procrastination. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever opened your laptop to start homework and somehow ended up cleaning your entire room instead? Or told yourself, I'll start in 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes turned into an hour? Why do we do that? Why do we delay things we know are important? Before understanding why we procrastinate, let's first understand what it really means. Procrastination is when we delay a task even though we know it's important and might cause problems later. When we procrastinate, we usually still care about the task. It just feels stressful, uncomfortable, or overwhelming. So, instead of facing that feeling, our brain chooses something easier and more enjoyable, like checking our phones. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's caring, but avoiding discomfort. We're not avoiding the task. We're avoiding the feeling or emotion it creates. Let me tell you about a moment that probably sounds familiar. You come home after a really long day. Maybe school was stressful. Maybe you had a bad day or you're just tired. But you remember, you have a test tomorrow or a task you still need to finish. You tell yourself, okay, I'll just relax for a few minutes. So, you open your phone. Maybe it's TikTok, Instagram, or something else. You start scrolling. One video, then another, and another. Before you realize it, an hour has passed. Now, the task is still there, but instead of feeling relaxed, it feels stressed. The deadline is closer, the work feels bigger, and you start wondering, why didn't I just start earlier? That moment, that cycle of avoiding something and then feeling worse about it, that's exactly what procrastination looks like. But what is actually happening inside our brains when we procrastinate? Inside our brains, there are two systems competing. One is the emotional system, which wants quick rewards and comfort, and the other one is the decision-making system, which focuses on long-term goals. The problem is that the emotional system is stronger in the moment. So, when you have to choose between studying or scrolling on your phone, your brain often chooses what feels good now instead of what feels good later. This is also influenced by dopamine, a chemical related to pleasure. Activities like social media give quick bursts of dopamine, making them really tempting, while studying gives a reward only later when you receive the mark. But have you ever thought that procrastination is not only about brain chemistry? Sometimes the reasons are deeper. One of the biggest reasons is fear of failure. When you are afraid you won't do something well, you may avoid starting it. Another reason is perfectionism. When you feel that every single thing has to be perfect, even starting can feel overwhelming. So, procrastination is not about laziness, it's about feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Understanding procrastination taught me something that I believe it's really important: empathy. When we see someone procrastinating, we often look at them and say, oh, they're just lazy. But in reality, they might be dealing with stress, fear, or pressure. When we realize this, it changes how we see other people. And instead of judging someone for procrastinating, we can ask, what might they be struggling with? How can I help them? And this has a bigger impact than you think, because it changes who we are and the world around us. Before I finish, let me tell you a sentence that I want you to stay forever. That empathy shouldn't only be for others, but also for ourselves. But how can we really deal with procrastination? First, start small. Break tasks into tiny steps. Even 5 minutes is enough to begin. Second, remove distractions. Make it easier for your brain to focus. Third, don't wait for motivation. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. And finally, be kind. Not only for others, but also for yourself. Feeling guilty only makes procrastination worse. And remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's simply to start. As Mark Twain once said, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. Maybe overcoming procrastination doesn't start with motivation or perfection. Maybe it simply starts with starting. Thank you.
you.